Welcome or welcome back. This is Pairs Well Knitting. I'm Jennifer, and this is a knitting podcast all about knitting, yarn adventures, and travel. We are out physically outside in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico in the highlands and enjoying every second here. You will hear the city noises, even though it's not a very loud city, but we are on a main area. And it was either going to be filming in a darker hotel room outside of the courtyard or outside. So I'm very lucky to be filming here on the rooftop in San Miguel. This episode will be featuring content all about the travels that we have been doing, the love of my life and I, in Mexico. That includes San Miguel, which is a stunning city, as well as a breath of time that we took right before we got here in Puerto Vallarta. It will include, of course, not only travel-y goodness and yarny bits, but knitting content as well. Let's get to it, shall we? Before I even do, I want to be a little out of knitting norm, and I'm going to show you where I am. Like, look at this gorgeous spot. I can't even get up because it's so high of all these gorgeous steeples. What? Okay, let's do this. Here we go. I'm putting you back down. It's overwhelming, the beauty in the city. First of all, what I'm wearing, I have to compose myself. So I am wearing the Boneyard shawl, which is a free knitting pattern by Stephen West, and I believe was one of his very first patterns, if I'm not mistaken. The Boneyard shawl is a triangular shawl that's knit with, I'm sure, multiple skeins of yarn. Traditionally, I knit into a micro shawl with just one skein. This is one strand of Santi by Illimani yarn, and is a combination of, I believe, a merino wool with silk, and it's a fantastic little micro shawl. I'm just going to fix this here if I can. And she travels with me to many different places. The little mod I did, not only making it a micro shawl, was I added little nups every so often to give it a little more zhuzh. That is what I'm wearing, the Boneyard shawl by Stephen West. Let's get into all of the travel-y bits and knitting goodness. So I think what I will do is I'll dabble with a little bit of Mexico that we were had the joy of experiencing in the beginning. Then we'll get into some knitty bits. Then we'll get into all the San Miguel content, because I could talk forever about this gorgeous city. So let's do it. First of all, where we had gone in the beginning, coming from Toronto, we had a flight directly into Puerto Vallarta. This is located on the west side of Mexico, which is a less, I think, for us, a less discovered area of Mexico. I think because coming from Toronto, it's very simple for us to continue on the east coast. So the west coast is a little foreign to us down here. And we had a lovely time. We did a very traditional resort stay. The highlight for me, of course, was all the wildlife. So lots of interesting birds. Of course, we had the sunshine, which we had not seen, and I swear, months of Toronto. And one of the big, beautiful takeaways of that Puerto Vallarta area, and we were specifically in Porta Mita, I believe, was whales. It is whale season right now, so January, February are high whale times that the female whales are coming into the bay. I believe they give birth there. There's apparently lots of good food for them, and it is constant whale watching in that area during these 2 months. Apparently the whale season does, span on either side, January, February, but the highlights and key movement times is January, February. So we hit it at the perfect time every day. We saw whales. We either would see spouts off in the distance. We would see the hump, because the majority of the whales that apparently are in the bay are humpback whales, but apparently there can be even some gray and blue whales come into the bay at times, and we saw some tails. Sadly, I don't have any footage because this happened when we were already out and about enjoying the pool or the beach, but the memories are there. It was just a stunning sight. So I suggest, if you are considering going to this side of Mexico, this might be the perfect time for you if you are also into animals and whale watching. Welcome to the hotel room in San Miguel that we are staying in. I was up on the rooftop of our hotel in this beautiful restaurant that overlooked much of the central zone of San Miguel. However, not only was noise from traffic just slightly distracting, the sun was very intense, not only for myself with my precious little skin, but closed down my phone a number of times from overheating. So we are avoiding all of that with distraction and, closing off my phone. So we are in the room where it's calm, a little darker, not as gorgeous, but here we are. So let's do this. I believe I had just finished talking about our portion of the trip to Puerto Vallarta. We will now get into some of the good nitty content and then get into the San Miguel, which is just such a gorgeous city. Let's do this. So first of all, the projects, and I'm not going to spend eons chatting about all of these because they are the same projects that I was working on in last week's video for my vacation knitting. I'll just bring you quickly up to date with how they are doing. First things first. We will talk about the Wild Posy. This is an unspun sweater design, top down, lots of texture from Melody Hoffmann. I'm using 2 strands of Plotulopi held double on US 8s for the main part of the body and texture work, and US 5 for the ribbing. We have needles in the body of the sweater. I'll just be careful as I pull it out. Sorry, we have moved a couple times trying to get a better location, so my knitting is showing the travel. All right, here she is. So this is the Wild Posy. We are finished the body of this beautiful unspun sweater and into the ribbing. I believe I have just a little bit of ribbing left before I cast off the body, and I will be picking up for sleeves in a jiff. This has been such a gorgeous, simple knit with beautiful features that I think maybe to a non-knitter look complicated. But I have to say, I think lace and texture work is definitely my happy place. And so this was a dream yoke for me to work on. I've shared a lot of details about the yoke portion in my last video, so if you want to go check that out. And I'm sure I will give lots of details once I finish. So this is the Wild Posy. This is a Flora edition because it has little eyelet stitches at the beginning and end of the yoke by Melody Hoffmann. Beautiful, beautiful sweater. Next on the docket is the Tekla top. So this is a interesting camisole design. This is by Milena, and I'm forgetting the last name. I do apologize, and I've just closed everything out. I'm sorry. I'll put it in the show notes, of course. This is a camisole that is knit from the triangles at the bust and join in the round to create the body. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this unknotted, and is just such a fun little summer knit. Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, there, kind of there. I want to get this guy off so you can see slightly better how she is. Here we go. It's a little naughty knit, a little fun, a little zhuzh. So we have the triangles at the front and a super low scoopy back at the back. It is a ruffle bottom as well, very low V, so naughty V. And yeah, it's going to be a super fun knit. I knit this mostly in the first chunk of our stay, which was Puerto Vallarta, along the beach and the pool. So she still has that little whiff of sunscreen, which is delightful if you ask me. Where I am on this, and I've ripped out the needles, I'll explain why, is there is now a I-cord edging that happens all along the seam. of the camisole to give it just this really fresh, beautiful finish. I really feel that this portion of my pickups and the I-cord edging is just a delight. Sadly, as I go on into where my increases are, this is where I feel like I'm not super happy, which is why I took a pause. Where I've done the pickups, it's really showing that pickup. I mean, from here it looks okay. Up close, I'm undecided, which is why I ripped out my needles. So I'm not worried about losing some stitches, because I think I have to do a little research to see how to do a pickup cleaner for an I-cord edge with increases. Like, look here, like I'm not a super fan. The original pattern, without going to like crazy detail, like I feel like I did in my first past episode with the vacation knits, this is plant-based fiber. This is line or lean, I'm not sure, from Sandness Garn. It's one strand of sport, which is a combo of viscose, linen, and cotton, I believe. It's super fun yarn to work with for plant-based fibers. But the pattern was designed using wool, a fine cashmere. So I wonder if the pickup stitches are looking slightly unclean because it's not a fluffy yarn. It's a plant-based yarn. I have some researching to do. If you know how to do a cleaner pickup perhaps during those increases for an I-cord edge, please let me know, because I'm slightly lost. And so hence the pause on this. Once I get this sorted, I think I'll rip out the increase, like the little pickup stitches I did at the increases, and I'll redo it with hopefully a method that works better than compared to what I've done, because I really would love to finish this, and it's not going to take me long. Like, this took me no time to do this little bit of I-cord, and just to finish it off, you do a long I-cord strap. I think it's going to be fantastic. I need to do a cleaner pickup. So please let me know if we know how to do a cleaner pickup. That's the Tech Look top. Gorgeous little top. I stole those needles, which is US 3 I'm using, to work on my sock as a portable project. This I thought I would be leaving for the flight home. These are socks that I had started, this exact sock, on the flight here into Mexico from Toronto, and knit up just basically to, I think it was like the second decrease at the heel. This is no specific pattern. I went off of the DK Vanilla Socks by the Crazy Sock Lady, but just added every fourth stitch was a slip stitch to add a little more zhuzh, and super fun. The yarn is Perfect by Sandnes Garn, which is basically like a sock yarn, but DK style. It has a synthetic in it and superwash. The neon I lost a ball band for, but everything will be in the show notes, of course. And it's been a super fun sock to work on. I thought I was going to hold this to work on the plane on the way back home. However, because I was having a rough go with picking up stitches for my other US 3 project, which is my Tekla top, I borrowed them and knitting the sock. In addition to the fact that my Wild Posy is no longer super portable during the day when I'm hiking around the city, bringing a knit. So this, obviously, a little sock, super light and easy to just throw into my bag as I'm trekking around. And when I'm having a moment to sit, sip, knit, this is coming out. So I think this is almost done. And totally fine, because we have other yarn to knit socks on, and hopefully I get myself sorted with the Tekla. So that is just where I am with my fun little slip stitch DK sock. Let's get into San Miguel, and I'm so excited to be sharing about this. So first of all, San Miguel is a colonial city in central Mexico in the highlands. This is a city that was founded-ish in the 1540s. I thought everywhere you walk is just stunning. We are talking cobblestone streets. We're talking the architecture of all of the building design, the churches, stunning, beautiful pink stone. It is just a delight. The central zone, which this is a protected site. This is a UNESCO heritage site, and rightfully so, because they should be protecting the beauty, culture, and as well the tradition here in St. Miguel. It's it's been just a whirlwind for all of the senses, I think, since we landed here. So I will talk how we got here first, because I'm getting all excited about talking about the city. But yes, so we had flown down from Toronto directly to Puerto Vallarta. We then flew from Puerto Vallarta to Leon. Leon is an hour and a half north of St. Miguel, closest airport, and a quick little jiff of a drive, hour and a half, that we had organized through our hotel, since we have not needed or even desired to hire a car or a taxi, and we have walked everywhere, even with our bags, from hotel to hotel. That being said, let's talk about the walking very quickly. There's cobblestone streets, and this is the only kind of street, and I should say sidewalks, walkways, that are in the central zone of San Miguel. They're gorgeous, beautiful, very different. They are not flat. They are all over the place. They're literally stones that have been formed into roads and some sidewalk. So it is an uneven experience of walking, but one where it works. There are no street signs other than no parking signs. There are no stop signs that I've seen at all in this area. There's definitely no street lights, and there is a volume of traffic on the main streets for sure in these little like cobblestone 90-degree areas. I don't know how people drive around, and it is not even just like micro mini, European cars. These are trucks and SUVs that people are handling with, it looks like, ease. So they're pro stars at getting around these little cobblestone streets into the parking. It's insane. Anyway, that's enough about like the transportation of it all. What to see and do? Oh my gosh, every day has just been a delight. So, in St. Miguel, this is a high expat area. We are talking Americans, Canadians as well. And so when you're walking in the central zone, there is a vast mix of people. Within the center of the city is the beautiful pink stone church. It's a Catholic church, and it is the heart of everything here. It is called the Parroquia de San Miguel Arcangel. This is a towering over all the other buildings, and the buildings are very short, 3- and 4-story buildings, with bell towers. There is a park that lies just in front of the church where a lot of people just come and sit and enjoy, and I love the people watching as I'm knitting, and as you are there taking in the sights and the smells and maybe a little ice cream, Mexican ice cream. The bells ring. The bells ring every 15 minutes, and it's got to be by hand. We saw on the weekend, I believe, bellboys literally taking the tops of these really high, I should say, like wooden component of the bell that houses the bell underneath, and almost like a massive exercise, like a CrossFit exercise, pulling the bells down, having them wind around 360 to chime. And it's amazing. You can hear them from all parts of the city. It's incredible. This is not the only church, of course, in the city. There are many others. This parroquia is the main church, and I feel the main attraction, if you will, of churches in the city. There also lies a number of restaurants and bars within that square. Again, pedestrian only. All the other streets are closed off to vehicles, which is really nice if you are enjoying and walking around. Super safe. And that is actually part of the city that is the flattest, I would say, out of all of the cobblestone streets here. And you can even grab a little glass of bubbles a cerveza, a cocktail, a coffee, and just sit. To me, this is so, I think, my experience of Western Europe, where you enjoy. You sit, you enjoy. It's a little bit of fika, and so much fun, so good. People watching included. Other things that I have done while visiting San Miguel, one of the highlights for sure has been the Fabrica Laora. This is a that used to be a textile factory just outside of the the central zone, on the other side of the river. And they have converted it over time into a multidisciplinary gallery. This hosts local artists from San Miguel, artists from Mexico that have galleries within this massive, very interesting building that was the textile factory. So it is a mishmash of visual arts. We're talking textile arts, we're talking sculptures, anything you can think of. This is probably a part of this beautiful multi-gallery area. They also have restaurants and areas where, of course, you can sip on bubbles, and you could spend easily a day plus just looking around, talking to the artisans. So I went here during the day with the love of my life, had a number of calls for work. I perused up again, single chica walking on her own, felt totally good, safe. I'm cautiously optimistic, but as well, I have my whereabouts with me. And I walked through the city center, up past the river, and got here no problem. It was, I think, a half-hour-ish walk from where we were staying. And I spent a good chunk of the afternoon meeting not only the artisans, some family members of artisans who were also hosting the gallery at the time. Sadly, I missed the Saturday that the Fabrica Laora had it was their 20th anniversary of opening the gallery. And so they had just, I should say, opened up to the community and beyond, drinks, music, and an art walk. I have to say my experience there was amazing, and I think the exposure of local artists and artisans had grown even more. Just gorgeous pieces, so inspiring, the creativity, the colors, the aesthetic, amazing. This is a must do if you find yourself in San Miguel. Another really memorable walk that I did was with the love of my life, and we had walked up through, I should say, down through the central zone first to the park, the Park Bonita Juras. I want to talk about that park in a moment, and there's a significant reason why, so we'll table that for now. We continued up past this through a passageway, multiple stairs that led up in the mountain overlooking San Miguel. It was so stunning. You could see the central zone, and much beyond that, you can even see the green, which might be ranches that surround it to the mountains. This is a very popular spot for tourists and locals alike to enjoy the view. You can see the sunset, and it is just incredible up there. I have lots of great video and photos of it, and we had been recommended by our hotel to go to a somewhat more local, mixed with a sprinkling of tourist restaurant called Los Milagros. And it is obviously a Mexican restaurant, and it is just on the cliff overlooking this vista of the city. It was such a sheer delight, not only to see out into the entire city overlooking from the top. The food was super fun, delicious Mexican food. I had a enchilada plate, the love of my life, had fajitas, lots of margaritas were had. It was super fun. There were three gentlemen playing guitar and singing traditional Mexican music. It was just stellar. We had gone on the Sunday, which was technically a holiday leading into Monday, which was the Constitution Day for Mexico. And so people, I shouldn't say everyone, some people didn't have work the next day, and it's a national holiday, so children didn't have school. So we were one of the very few tourists that attended this restaurant with all kinds of other families, Mexicans had sent that were enjoying their time, sharing a meal, and it just felt so special. It was awesome. That was Los Milagros. And we had watched the sunset. When we had finished our meal, we had taken our time heading down the mountainside, I should say, with the cobblestone streets back into the Zona Central. And it was just beautiful, even descending on the town by foot, looking and seeing all the different, architecture again. The beautiful doors of San Miguel is the thing. And the lights. It was just beautiful walk. So romantic, so lovely. So that was going up the hill at El Mirador is what it's called. That's the view site. Beautiful. I'd love to share about my experience in the park. This is the Park Bananitas Horas. This is a fairly decent sized park in an urban center of the central zone. And I think on a typical day would be delightful. Beautiful little benches to sit on, green everywhere you look, different blossoming plants. There's a child's play area, there's a gazebo, there's an open, multiple open areas. One's a basketball court that's used for many different things, including basketball, but also hosting different functions. And so this is also why I think my experience here has been so unique. We've come at a time that not only was Constitution Day on the Monday, but over the weekend was Candelaria. This is a celebrable, I'm talking my research, but this is a time of combination of blessing of seeds. So blessing seeds for a hearty growth season to come. But as well as a time of blessing of candles. My understanding is that you bring candles to the church and they get blessed so that when you bring them home, obviously bringing good faith into the home. It was so lovely to walk through that I think I've walked through almost every day through the park to enjoy the smells and the sights. Lovely. I will wrap up with San Miguel by saying that we've had such a lovely time here. We continue to have a lovely time. I want to thank you for joining me in the talk about bringing you up to date on my knits, bringing you up to date about our travels in Mexico through Puerto Vallarta and beyond to San Miguel. And I hope you get to experience all of this one day yourself, or at least found joy in sharing the experience with me as I was able to chat to you about all of this. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you find great joy in your knitting and that your creativity is sparked somehow by perhaps the conversation, by the knits that I'm sharing, or by others in the community around us. So thank you so much for stopping in. If you liked the episode, the channel, I definitely invite you to like and subscribe to the Pairs Roll Knitting channel. And if you're finding it within yourself to go above and beyond, to click on the link below to the Ko-Fi account where you can purchase a copy for myself. I really appreciate everyone that has already and am feeling so thankful for that. So until next time, take care.